Hi everyone, this is Razor here, otherwise known as Akano to some people here. Uh, Thank you for tuning in to my first World of Tanks tank review since WOT 2.0 came out with the surprising Tier 11. The first one here we're going to take care of is KR-1. It was the first one I got because I love the IS-7. IS-7 is great. I figured it would play a little bit like the IS-7. It does in some ways and it does some other things, so I figured we could go right through the vehicle, figure out what's going on, give you like the ins and outs and what to do, and the fact that it has probably one of the most broken abilities when you have it fully upgraded, because the upgrades on this thing is key. So, without further ado on this thing, we'll just jump right to the characteristics on the tank, because Wargame did nice with this update for me personally. You don't have to jump to two different menu screens. I wish they just kept everything up to the right, but you know, can nitpick for another day. What you're seeing here is almost a fully upgraded version of the KR-1 that I have. I only get like one or two more upgrades left to do on this thing, but the upgrades that it did give, hit points upgrades, gun depression upgrades, it gave penetration upgrades, you know, a whole nine. Like this tanks, it's its own vehicle, 540 Alpha, 273 base pen, which is fantastic. Um, Nice decent reload at 10.6, especially for that kind of alpha. You can't really get that 7 degrees of gun depression with the upgrade. Usually, if without the upgrade, it's at 6. They give it some upgrade with the gun traverse speeds and everything else on it. Waffing the turret armor on it is fantastic. 310 on the turret armor, 180 on the hull. The hull armor, I will say, what does not really hold up too well. Um, Especially the upper plate. Like, to be honest, I think a T10's upper plate works a lot more than this one's does. But the turret armor is real nice. It's real nice and steady. Like this, and then with the turbo too, getting it up to 66 kilometers. But now, it doesn't really ever reach that top speed, and I'm using gas in this thing. I'm using food, you know, the whole nine of what you want to do with your IS-7. I tried to convert over here with the KR-1. A lot of mixed results, really. Um, Speaking upgrades, as again, we'll show you up just one or two off with this, and when I get this, this is going to make a huge difference. And I have a little clip from a game when I was playing in my mouse, getting rammed in one of these things to where I think this ability is broken. Cause you'll see why in a moment. Um, but yeah, these upgrades are really key for these tier 11s, because otherwise, in my opinion, these tier 11s are like slightly better tier 10s, or you know, not really a standalone tier like 11 right out the gate until you get these upgrades, which it's kind of good and bad at the same time. But as I said, these upgrades are you get shell velocity, aim time down, literally give you an extra degree of gun depression, extra damage here now, so it's at 530 or 540. Just these little upgrades here over time, just they work, and they work very well. And the big one here you want is the logo. And these things, I believe they stack. So the fact if you get all the way to the end and you're doing, say, 20, 30, you're doing 40% extra RAM than what you initially would do to a tank is really ridiculous. And it doesn't even put the tank's weights and what you're ramming into play. It's just what this tank does, and that's it, which I find pretty broken. And I'll show you why in a moment. But going into the armor here, nice armor layout here. Let's get a cupola. This cupola 280. This you're looking straight at it. Any tier 10 gold rounds going through this. Any tier 11s going through this. It just supposed to be a predecessor to an IS-7 in my opinion. IS-7 doesn't have a cupola really, but you're going to give the tier 11 a cupola. But I know why, because of how the turret armor and everything works. Because look at that. 360 right here, just straight, like this 400 millimeters of like active, and it goes up from here. And then the one trick about this thing is just right here on this deck. So if you're looking at this thing even straight on, if you have a little bit, if you're taller than it, just shoot right down on this upper hull deck here. If you just have any type of height over this thing, it's 45 meters. And like this, it's just weak armor. It's gonna hold. The upper hull armor, it's slightly I see what they were trying to go for with this curvature, kind of like the 2798, but trying not to make it broken. But this whole armor really doesn't work well too much because I've had Tasserats for a prime example with their heat. It's just because they have that height like this, it becomes weak. As soon as you get height evolution on this thing, this armor just does not hold up and everything. Lower plate's tragic. 140, so it's about two, it really works. And the one thing I found out too is that this thing, I have it happen, but you can shoot up into the flaps here, and I've had it pen and go right through if someone's slightly underneath it and just start doing damage, which in itself is very annoying. Side armor profile, the turret's pretty decent and everything, but the main thing is you want to shoot the hull. Just be careful because you do have this little bar right here which does 30 millimeters in difference there in terms of effective hull armor and everything. And of course, the ass of the tank is very weak in one itself. Overall, it's one of the most solid tier 11s that you could choose from, especially with those people who are trying to make decisions of what tier 10, because Wargaming was very generous with their rewards. First time Wargaming's ever done that in their life. But if I can, and I'm going to put this right over here to show you guys this, you guys need to see this ram that happened, and to me, I think it's very. This is where I'm worried about how this tank and everything runs out with y'all, and to me, it's going to be a scary process, and that's just my opinion, really. Um, because man, it's going to be a thing here. So here we go. We get this little one of this. Make this bigger for y'all here. Where are we at? Fit the screen. So this is me. This is in my mouse. I'm on Pearl River. Make this a little bit bigger for y'all. You guys deserve it. You deserve to see what's going on. So this is my mouse. This is the. I'm gonna restart this here, but take a look at my hit points. This is the KR-1 me down. Make this. It's gonna. To me, mouse heaviest tank in the game. This should not work. And you see that right. This KR-1 came down full speed with its ability being fully upgraded. Probably, this is just my assumption. He does 546 ramming to me and only did 255 to himself. That's unheard of, especially with a mouse. You should not be able to do that with a mouse. I don't care it's tier 11. I don't care that it has the mechanic for ramming and everything. The mouse outweighs this vehicle by what? Probably double the weight or so, because the mouse being the heaviest tank in the game outside of the Tesseract. The KR-1 should not be doing this to a mouse, because if it does this to this mouse, I can only imagine that it could do the same thing to a Tesseract. I've seen this ability sit there and hit people for 1700 with the RAM. It just with IS-7's heavily armored, heavy tanks. Like this RAM kit, once it's fully upgraded, it just does not care. It doesn't care about you. It doesn't care about what you're doing. It doesn't care about your tank. And honestly, that's the niche thing about this. That is, you can also get it to work. Because people can track, people are annoying, but if the fact that he can just slightly graze me into the side and do 500 plus damage to a ram and only do 250 receiving, you do that in your IS-7 to the. If that was an IS-7, and this did this to me to my mouse, the IS-7 would have took so much more damage. I probably would have took barely anything. It doesn't make sense. The ability on this is broken if you can get it to work. It's not always going to work because you know how World of Tanks is. You're either going to get the ram, right, just because no one's sitting there protecting you, or you're going to go ram someone and the entire enemy team is going to turn and focus you. You know how it works. Um, Honestly, I like the tank, but man, that ability needs to be adjusted because it has to take the weight of vehicles into play. Because as of right now, it's not, and I don't think that's great. I mean, it's funny, haha, when it happens if you're the person doing it, but if you're on the receiving end, it's especially when again I'm in the mouse. Not gonna lie, I went full tilt, and that was live on stream. But yeah, this is the KR-1 all in a nutshell. thank you guys for watching. I hope it gave you a little more insight on where you should be shooting this thing with the armor layout, what you should be looking forward to. Um, I usually go live on Twitch anytime like this during the night, mainly pretty much every day. If you guys liked the video, please give it a like. If not, give it a thumbs down. Let me know what I need to work on. This is my first video doing a tank review, so any feedback is fantastic for you guys to give me so I can improve and make these better for y'all. I appreciate it. Have a good one.